Good afternoon, folks. We have breaking news regarding the L train shutdown. Let's listen in to ABC 7. Let's look for another resource. Let's listen in to ABC 7. And as you guys see, we're using our Periscope channel. And we are seeing actually MTA spokesperson John Weinstein. Let's see if we could use the alternative way because we're having some power cable. So you're right about the power. All right, we're having difficulties doing the live stream regarding the L train shutdown, but today represents a huge victory for the People's MTA fiasco. Once again, People's MTA won. Why? Because the governor, Andrew Mark Cuomo, decided not to shut down the Canarsie Tunnel. According to some experts, but there will be some weekend. An important thing that we have to address. Andy, the L train shutdown has been suspended, according to Governor Cuomo. Now we're gonna hear from Lance Collins from Cornell University.
once the but also the eventual. About this. Now I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to change my agenda for this year. I already had everything planned out for March. A couple packs of the Elks train stations. I mean, I want to do something in March, but it's going to have to depend on the circumstance, I guess.
As I understand, there will be nights and weekend suspensions like has been going on for now.
The diesel fuel, the tank right out. And of course, under conditions that we're talking about, it's sort of a major storm is hitting. There's just a lot of things going on at the same time. And so the notion that this external power would be there indefinitely would add certainly to the resilience of the tunnel. Third is that we, and there's a demonstration of this shown here with the Queens Midtown Tunnel. The consideration should be given to potentially putting a watertight gate on the two ends of the tunnel to protect the tunnel from any sort of major flooding. So I'm showing an example here in front of the Queens Midtown Tunnel. The Brooklyn Battery Tunnel has something very similar, and so there should be some consideration given to that. So that's our third recommendation. And fourth, there's a lot of vent shafts and so forth that run along the entire length of the tunnel. That's where the water is going to get in, and so we're recommending that all of those openings, that some sealing facility be sort of built into all of those between the First Avenue station and the Bedford Avenue station, especially all of those that are under some critical elevation. And so that should be something that's examined and implemented. And finally, I just wanted to point to the fact that public safety was always in our mind. It was in every conversation that we had. And there were really sort of two aspects of it that we discussed at some length. One had to do with the actual construction project, and one had to do with the operation of the tunnel after the construction. So during the construction, the demolition of the duct banks and the removal of the duct banks is going to generate a good deal of dust, and importantly, airborne silica which is a hazard for humans. And so part of what the construction company will have to do is monitor that through filtration and remediation. Monitoring of air quality to ensure that this is sort of public assurance that that in fact the air quality is as needed. And then in terms of the ongoing operations of the tunnel, as already mentioned, we're recommending the smart technology be introduced. This will monitor the structure of the tunnel. This is in some sense raising the quality of safety within the tunnel. Even beyond what it is today, by introducing the technology, and so we conclude that that in sense we're leaving the tunnel safer than it was originally. So let me just quickly run through those all of the recommendations that are being made. So we start with a new power and control system, as was stated, and in fact implementing a racking system for hanging the cables outside of the bench wall. This decouples the cables from the bench wall and allows us to then treat the bench wall in a somewhat simpler way and not comprehensively remove all of it, but in fact only remove that portion that is needed. We want to jacket the cables with a fireproof material that is also low smoke, so that in the event of a fire, people are safe. We'll abandon the cables that currently exist within the bench wall. There's no environmental concern there. We will leave the structurally sound bench wall in place, reinforce the less structurally sound bench wall, and remove the unstable bench wall. Number 7, we'll install a smart sensor system that is state-of-the-art to monitor the structures initially, and ultimately, I believe, the operations within the tunnel. 8, install a walkway so there continues to be a pathway for access and for egress under emergency conditions. 9, install and improve the resiliency of the tunnel in terms of any future storms that may be coming along. And 10, as I mentioned, we've always had public safety in mind as we went through this section.
To quickly summarize what are the benefits from this. First, we see that the new system design is highly integrated design, and it achieves all functional outcomes. And at the same time, it's reducing the work and this is happening because it allows simultaneous and not sequential execution of the critical element. And importantly, because we are racking the cables, that the old cables remain functional while we're actually placing the cables. This is an incredible process change, which is what leads to the outcome of no closure, which was preempted Governor Cuomo. The racking system allows greater access to the cables for inspection and future upgrades. So as we have newer technologies arise over the coming years and decades, we will be able to replace and upgrade much more easily if these were embedded within a bench wall. The installation of the smart sensor system allows for the monitoring of the bench wall, but also, as you've heard, other aspects of the tunnel and the train system on a continuous basis. This is actually helping bring us into to usher in the era of big data as part of actually monitoring and what's happening in our tunnel. This will create a state-of-the-art capability here in New York. The upgrades to the pump system and the rail can occur in tandem. These were planned and they can occur in tandem with the cable and bench wall work. So there's no compromising those upgrades. And we see a dramatic reduction in what we refer to as the non-value added project scope. So we don't reduce the scope, but we eliminate those parts of the scope that had For example, if we do not need to remove the bench wall and reconstruct the bench wall, we're not going to do it. That's an incredibly time-intensive, labor-intensive element to be removed. It has no real value when we do not need to do that. So we leave it in place. We also see that we have enhanced safety and functionality of the project and of the end experience for every user. And we have enhanced flexibility. We also think this positions New York to be a leader in infrastructure. This is, as we all know, a unique situation. We have a 100-year-old tunnel that was damaged by a flood, unusual circumstance. This actually gives us that opportunity to be innovative in how do we really do the right new thing for the long term. And we think that this other added benefit then is that our success here can be mapped onto other systems here in New York and elsewhere. So we have projects underway. The second plan for Second Avenue Phase 2, the River Tunnel, and many other places where we'll be able to deploy some of the unique aspects of this very integrated design that pulls in emerging and new technologies that have been proven elsewhere but have never been integrated together and just to restore, rehabilitate a 100-year-old. So as you heard, what this means ultimately to New Yorkers, okay, to businesses, is that no closure of the service is necessary with this. We feel strongly that this is possible to execute this system design without full closure. The work can be completed with weekend and nighttime closures, and doing so one tube at a time. So this leaves one tube always available to do the back and forth. If one tube is being. I'd like to further emphasize, this has been a highly collaborative process. We've benefited so much from work that was done before, but also so much from the collaboration over the last few weeks with our partners, the consultants from WSP and Jacob and from the MTA. We have presented this to the MTA, and we feel confident that that they will be able to implement this, and I think we'll be hearing from the MTA next. Maybe before we move to the MTA, if our colleagues want to,
if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to my colleagues in a second. I just wanted to add my thanks to all of the MTA and the consultants. In 3 weeks, I don't know how many dozens and dozens of questions we have, and each it's literally hundreds. And we can say these words, the kind of high-level statement about putting up racks and hanging the wire, but what really you have to do is you have to do that along the entire length of the tunnel, and there are tricky areas that have to be worked around, and there were lots and lots and lots of questions, and I was incredibly happy to see their willingness, day, night, weekend, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, to lend a hand to help us to understand a particular issue, and so it just seems appropriate.
Sí, buenas tardes. Quiero saber si tiene alguien del canal cubriendo la conferencia de prensa del gobernador Andrew Cuomo sobre la clausura del túnel de Canal C que lleva el tren L entre Manhattan y Queens, en Manhattan y Brooklyn. Ok, pues muchas gracias y buenas tardes.
I would also say that we never got a single bit of pushback with any questions. Anything we asked was measured to us, which I was really such a welcome collaborative spirit. I think we would like, if our colleagues have anything they'd like to comment on?
If I could, I'd like to emphasize what an extraordinary opportunity the rehabilitation of this tunnel presents. But we're all aware in the United States that infrastructure is one of our major national challenges. Infrastructure is not only generic, but it's local. It's our infrastructure, and when it affects your community and it affects the people that you live with, and we have an opportunity to fix it locally and take a leadership position nationally and internationally, then we have a win-win situation. What we believe is that we have a design here using new technology, advancing new technology, particularly with the fiber optics and the combination with the LiDAR, to be able to monitor in great detail the structural condition of the tunnel over time. We believe that this allows New York to take a leadership position in monitoring infrastructure, bringing more effective infrastructure to the people, not only in New York, but across the United States.
Very quick, I fully agree with what my colleague mentioned and what the two teams mentioned. This is a truly unique opportunity for New York City and New York State to become a worldwide leader. And as already mentioned, the collaboration with the consulting industry was absolutely critical in the overall process. But I would like also to mention that without the invitation coming from Governor Cuomo, nothing like this outcome could have been possible. Everything started from the invitation of Governor Cuomo, and I would like to deeply thank him for this.
Before I turn it over to the chairman, necessity is the mother of invention. A closure of 15 months was highly problematic. Necessity is the mother of invention. What these people have designed is the first of its kind in the United States of America. No rail system has used this approach before. So it really is, from their point of view, exciting. I don't know if you can tell, but these are engineers excited. They must not. I'm sorry. The only time I saw them more excited is when we were doing one of the subway tunnels. And someone said, "Oh, I didn't know there were so many cats down in the subway system." They were not cats. This is really a unique design, a unique system. We'll deploy it here. But as you heard, this could be a national model because it is a totally different way to reconstruct a tunnel. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's better than the way we have been doing it now. And New York should be the first. And we are trying to be the first. This state is the most aggressive state in building infrastructure in the United States of America. Period. Period. No one is doing the development that we are doing. Roads, bridges, airports. The corollary to that is, let us be the state that is leading in innovation, in new design, in new technology. And that's exactly what this does. This fiberglass wrapping of the bench wall, this has never been done before. I coincidentally heard about it because we had an issue with the old Tappan Zee Bridge, which was unstable. And one of the engineers recommended a fiberglass wrap to literally hold the bridge together. That's how powerful this is. Fiber optic sensors, yes, they can detect movement in the bench wall. I'm interested in them for different applications. You can tell when a worker is in that tunnel. By the way, you could tell when someone who is walking into that tunnel who doesn't belong in that tunnel and may be violating security or posing a security risk is in that tunnel. So this technology not only works for this situation, but has capacities well beyond. With that, let me turn it over to Chairman Corral.
Thank you, Governor Cuomo, for bringing us together today and helping to assemble, I consider, and it's unquestionably, world-class team from premier engineering schools at both Columbia and Cornell. The deans, thank you for outstanding efforts researching and engineering a new approach to a critically important project in New York City. For our MTA team for refusing the temptation of being held captive to the way we've always done things, but open to new ways of doing things, better ways of doing things, and keeping forefront in our minds the reason why we're all here, the riding public. We're grateful to all of you for your help in reviewing the plans for the L train. As we take a fresh look at the L train project, we work very closely with these experts. The objective was to minimize the impact on our customers while achieving the goals of the project, repair the L train tunnel and make it more resilient against future storms. After reviewing the proposals of the past of the expert review team, we were thrilled that they have developed an innovative and more efficient approach, which the MTA is adopting. Based on these recommendations, we will not be shutting down the tunnel, and no full closure of service between Manhattan and Brooklyn will be necessary. No apocalypse. Instead, we'll conduct all repairs on nights and weekends, and we'll only need to close one tube at a time for repairs, allowing the second tube to run trains in both directions. Weekday and rush hour schedules will be unaffected. On nights and weekends, the L train will be running with 15 to 20-minute headways, which is no different from the current overnight service. We expect that these repairs will take between 15 and 20 months, depending on how much bench wall will need to be removed. So you might ask, well, why wasn't this approach considered earlier? The answer is that the integration of these approaches, and there are several, and the technology has not been previously applied in the context of a rehabilitation project. A rehabilitation project underground. It's innovative, creative, and we deem it a sound plan. In addition, I want to make clear that despite this positive development, there remains the potential to impact our customers on weekends, which is why we still plan to implement additional subway service where it's needed, such as on the G and M lines and the 7 line. There's obviously a major shift in approach. We'll continue to work closely with local communities, the City of New York, and all of our stakeholders, and solicit their input throughout. But without a doubt, this is a less invasive, more efficient approach to rebuilding the L train tunnel for the future. And it represents a huge win for our transit system and our customers. And for that, we can all celebrate and be thankful. So thank you all. Thank you, Governor.
Any questions? Well, I think the chairman addressed that. This tunnel has been designed, the tunnel work was done by the preeminent companies in this country. Parsons Brinckerhoff, which is an international firm, worked on the design. These are ideas, Zach, that have been never used in this country before, never used in this application. And we are going to be the first. And as I said, mother is the necessity of invention. The way they were doing it was the best practice. That's what engineering firms were doing. By the way, that's what every other rail company in this country is doing. That's what they're talking about on new tunnel construction in this country. What this group did was the various needs, they scoured the world, came up with the best ideas across the world, and then knit together a program. Nobody has used fiber optic sensor cables on bench walls to detect motion. I don't even know what that means, actually. Nobody has ever used fiberglass wrapping on bench walls so that you don't have to replace them. This has never been done before. Now, also the context, this whole situation of tunnels underwater and salt damage is a relatively new world, right? It's really just since Hurricane Sandy. So 6 years ago was Hurricane Sandy. 6 years sounds like a lot of time. It's not that much time for technology to develop. But the plan the MTA had was the way it was done. The best experts in the country advised them to do it. Everybody looked at it. The board has all sorts of experts on it. They all looked at it. This was a totally outside the box, creative solution, which was provoked, frankly, and I did provoke them and sort of give them license to come up with an idea that's outside the box, because we needed an idea outside the box. You know, there's always human nature, not just government bureaucracy nature. Human nature is to do what you have done that is tried and true. No designer wants to give you a plan that hasn't been done before. They want to go with their tried and true design. And the original design was the best practice design. But sometimes you have to be willing to think outside the box or break the box. Tappan Zee Bridge, for our engineering friends, 20 years they talked about replacing the Tappan Zee Bridge. They never did. Why? Well, there were big environmental concerns because when they built the new bridge, it could affect the ecosystem and the fish in the river. And nobody wanted to, there are important fish in the river, sturgeon in the river, etc. In 20 years, there's no bridge. I said, is there any possible way to get around this? And we came up with a bubbling system that constantly bubbles and scares the fish away, combined with a noise-making device which will scare the fish away, right? Nobody ever did it before. But this was a unique application. And that happens again and again. I'll give you another example with the MTA. Right now, the best way to put in a new signal system is the CBTC system. That is what the industry uses. That is what they deploy. Communication-based train control system. That could take 7, 8, 9, 10 years. My position doesn't work. 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I don't know that I'm going to be alive 7 or 8, 9, 10 years. I certainly don't want to say to New Yorkers it's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I called up Tesla and I said, here's the question. We're trying to move subway cars, get them put together. Do you have any ideas? You're talking about flying cars. We're just talking about moving trains. I've spoken to other out-of-the-box companies also. I actually think there's a technology called ultra-wideband, which is going to be today's equivalent if it proves out. That'll revolutionize the signal system. But sometimes you have to push and you have to think outside the box. Nobody has done this before. I applaud the MTA for saying, we will do this even though no one else has done it. Now, just also for the public's confidence, we're talking about an electrical system within the tunnel. The tunnel itself is secure. The structure of the tunnel is secure. There is no question or risk about the tunnel. We're only talking about components within the tunnel. So if anybody says, well, they're trying something new, and it's in a tunnel, it sounds frightening. It has nothing to do with the structural integrity of the tunnel. It's electric components within the tunnel. That's all we're talking about.
When this may prove to not be workable in the decades to come, who's going to hold the bag if this unproven tech doesn't stand the test of time the way a tunnel rebuilding would?
Well, it has been proven because they build tunnels with the racking system, which is the primary system, right? You can go to London, you can go to Riyadh, and you will see the racking system. So, yeah, but it's the same. The question is, you have a tunnel, which is a hole in the ground. How do you bring power to the hole in the ground? One way is through a bench wall. Another way is the racking system. How do you know the racking system will work? It has been used before, and it has been used with success. Many people argue it is a better system than putting it in a bench wall. Why? Because when you think about it for a second, why would you bury a cable in a bench wall? Why would you bury a cable where you can't get at it? Why not rack it? The only thing that has not been tested, frankly, is the fiberglass wrapping on a bench wall. You know the worst case scenario there? The bench wall cracks. And then you know what you do then? We send you out with a pail of cement to patch the crack in the bench wall. That is not going to be a significant occurrence.
Well, if I can rephrase my question then on the epoxy, it sounds like you're getting a patch job. You're putting a material to fill cracks in deteriorated tunnel. Why should we be confident that it's something worth pursuing and that it will be?
No, anything that is unstable is removed. That's rule one, right? So if it's unstable, it's out, it's removed. That's your point, that's your problem, that's resolved. Stable stays. Something with a crack, we fill the cracks, we then secure it in addition with a fiberglass wrap. On top of that, we put a fiber sensor, so if it moves at all, we know right away.
That you said, I think, that was done in the U.S. before. What workforce and what contractor here is capable of doing this work, in any kind of reasonable time frame, and you can do it, for the satisfaction of the guarantee it will be done properly. Think about from London and Singapore and Riyadh, and not something from New York.
I've done racking before. It's not a highly complicated construction venture. So we've used the racking of cables before, which is the primary method here. But I don't believe there's any special construction sophistication needed to do this, but I would refer to the experts.
So we have done, racking has been done for some cables in some of the tunnels before. Also, the negative rail has been laid on the track bed in elevated trains in New York before. So many of the different pieces have been accomplished in different contexts before.
Have we ever fiberglass wrapped before?
not a bench wall, but
That's all.
for infrastructure.
So pretty much this means if I want to filter some
Real structural reinforcement. This is going to be attached to the bench wall, not only with polymers that will glue it to the surface, but it's also going to be anchored at two places so that there's double redundancy of connecting this fiber reinforced polymer to reinforce structurally the ductile. It is not a bad, it is a true structure. Cornell University, Tom Owen.
They were talking about this fiberglass wrap to put the Tappan Zee bridge together. Okay? The fiberglass wrap, as they just said, has been used many times on many structures. No, components of it have been done.
All the money that's been spent on preparing, down the drain.
No, most of the work, the tunnel has work going on that is not just what we're talking about. There are 3 new power substations. Stations are becoming ADA compliant. There are station enhancements. That is all work that was ongoing and was necessary. And the contingency plans that we have just to err on the side of caution. We're not, as the chairman said, they're not taking down the contingency planning until we are fully satisfied that this is going forward on a timely basis.
Corrosion and salt and mold on the inside of the wall. And why won't you inside? Like people won't have to inside it while the corrosion was happening to the cables on the bench wall, and that's why you were experiencing periodic issues with the cable failing. It have to be pulled out of the bench wall and then pulled back through the bench wall cables. That's an extremely laborious process, but we will be totally replacing the cables. So the cables that are the old cables that remain in the bench wall have no functioning anymore. So there's nothing to be concerned about there. Okay, all of the cables that are functioning in the new system design are mounted on the wall. So there's no corrosion issue because we're not looking at cables embedded.
Exactly. You may have been also talking about the structural integrity of that wall. And as I mentioned, there's going to be this fiber optic sensor that's going to be monitoring it on a continuous basis, so that if there were sort of slow loss of structural soundness in some portion of the bench wall that initially is in good shape, we'll know that through these sensors and be able to take care of it.
We'll be renegotiating the scope of work and the project itself. In fact, that's sort of already begun. We're conducting tests on the bench wall and certain components of that as soon as tonight. We'll be renegotiating. We won't be rebidding this contract. We don't see that right now. We believe that sitting down with Judd Lang, working these issues out, will be fun. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anybody does.
Credibility.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Has HT's credibility been hit by this?
Have I worked out the cost at all? You mean on this new project? We believe it can be done within the envelope.
Okay, Governor, you promise that this will take max 1 month? Or no month?
I don't promise. That is the range of 15 to 20 months. But what they said is they have to do the testing on the bench wall to determine how much of the bench wall has to come out. But the range is 15 to 20 months. But it's a silly question to say, am I going to promise on a construction schedule for an agency?
Other than
There are two tunnels. The original plan was close both tunnels and do the work. This plan is leave both open during the day, close one at night and weekends. So you always have constant service. What can be corroded will be replaced, okay? What corrodes is the metal. The cables corrode. That's what corrodes. They're now in the duct bank. They're very hard to get to, and they're still sitting in salt water. Anything that can corrode is replaced. The racking system means all new cables, brand new insulation, all run through the tunnel. There's two questions. Is the structural integrity of the tunnel fine? Yes. Well, now you're talking about the components inside the tunnel that are electrical, tend to be metal or copper, that have been affected by salt water. What's the best thing to do? Replace them ASAP, because they're going to fail. What we've been dealing with in the interim is these periodic failures. Just do it right and replace it all. This is, do it right, replace it all. But don't put it back at the bench wall, do a racking system. There will be no shutdown. When do the weekends and night time start? You know, it's just about the same time. Chairman said within the envelope. If I were negotiating, I would start with those contractors as it's going to be less, because it is less work, less time equals less money. But I am a monster to negotiate with. So. I don't believe so.
There were amendments to the agreement. Yes, it'll come back to the board as it should.
You told us you don't really have power over the city subway system. I mean, what faith should we have this program can or will be implemented at all?
The chairman just said it's going to be implemented.
All right, that's completely independent of you or anything you do.
What language are you speaking today? Tell me.
I think I'm
that is completely independent. I said the chairman has said it's going forward. And your question is what?
What that is, you're saying that's completely nothing to do with you or what you've done here or anything you
Those are 4 different questions. Pick one in the sentence.
Oh, God.
Thank you for interpreting what he said. No, I am not in charge of the. Yes, I did ask this group. I convened this group. I got them access. I facilitated their research. They came up with their conclusion. They presented it to the MTA. And the MTA said it's a better way to do it, as would any
And
normal
as
human
we
being,
speak, a reporter
and
asked
especially
the
anyone
governor
who had any
if he was in
expertise
charge,
in the field.
if he's in charge of the MTA, and he answered
I never told
no.
the MTA about the plan. They were, if you heard the presentation, they were working with the MTA from the first day. It was an iterative process. They did it together. They came in, they're experts, international experts in the field, but they only know what they see and what they're told. So they started working with the MTA on day one. And then it was an iterative, collaborative process. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Let me show you what they did in Riyadh. Let me show you what they did in London. What do you think about this? It was a collaborative process, but it commenced together. That's why the past two questions missed the point. It was never a conclusion presented to the MTA. It was a conclusion they arrived at together because it was a collegial process that came together.
Mentioned this to Joe Lhota when he was the official and so far the only confirmed MTA chairman on this. Did you ever bring it up with them?
No.
The MTA, because they were pretty certain that the big project, the big demolition, had to be done. It's a must. I sat in the panel. They were adamant it must get.
Let me help you. This was almost an exact duplicate of the work we did on the Montague Tunnel. You remember that? No, please. What we did was almost an exact duplicate of what we did with the Montague Tunnel. Right? My first at-bat as acting chairman. And that was, and in many quarters still is, a best practice in the rail industry, mass transit in the United States. Much of the rest of the world, and certainly emerging technologies are beginning to offer us some new solutions. So this is a new solution. We're excited about it. And I don't know if you do. We're excited about it. We think it's a new way of looking at an old problem, and a problem that will become more frequent to older systems, legacy systems like ours, as we're dealing with climate change and the effects of flooding. And as the governor pointed out before, electricity and electrical components don't play well with salt water.
Andy, I'm still live. The governor is still taking questions from the press.
Fiberglass wrap polymer that they use to hold bridges together. Go ahead.
Again, it worked on bridges. Why will it translate to a mass transit heavy rail system?
It is only being applied to a bench wall if there is any question about its strength. If it is unsound, it is removed. If there's any question at all, it is wrapped. You understand the only purpose of the bench wall now, the bench wall was critical because it had all the electrical conduits in it. The only function to the bench wall now is it's a walkway in case there's an emergency and a train gets stuck in a tunnel and people have to get out of the train in the tunnel. It serves as a way. That is the only relevance to the bench wall.
I'm about 2 bus stops away from my stop, so
Thank you, guys.
I just want to mention that when I get home and I mention this, I am going to watch your stream. What's
By the way, the press conference just concluded, so I'm gonna proceed with my analysis. Sorry for the interruptions, people. We are going to proceed with our analysis. And what we learned this afternoon from Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo and the engineers that he conducted for the L train shutdown study. So that means that starting in April, and this could sound weird, the People's MTA just won. But the People's MTA, leaded by Tony Murphy, just won because they were against the L train shutdown in the first place. Let's start it from there. Second of all, Andrew Mark Cuomo was the governor of the state of New York, decided almost 3 months before the actual shutdown to do the project. And basically, the pattern will be something similar to this. All stations will be open, just less frequent service. So service will be running every 15 to 20 minutes between Manhattan and Brooklyn. There will be a point that stations like First Avenue and Third Avenue will be operating on single track territory during the closure. So the 15-month project of the L train is not going to happen. Why? Because the governor announced today his decision to cancel the plan. So let's go on Twitter to see the reactions from news reporters. Let's see. Here we have a statement that news reporter Ivan Peralta posted from Street Easy, and it says, "Well, today's news that the L train shutdown no longer appears necessarily. Renters who have managed to negotiate deals in recent months have struck gold. Rents in North Brooklyn have fallen to accommodate to accumulate 1.5% since the shutdown was announced on April 2016, while rents in the borough have increased by a cumulative 3.3%. Look for the rents to rise sharply as many who thought that they were forced to look elsewhere adjust to the new reality of minimum disruptions. However, the plan the plans announced today include substantial degree of uncertainty that could weigh both sales and rentals in the area going forward. While we predicted that many Brooklynites have underestimated the inconvenience for the looming shutdown, we expect as many similarly underestimate the commuting headaches that still lies ahead, with officials trading a sharp but short period of inconvenience with the less disruptive but more uncertain plan. That's a statement from Street Easy. Let's see what else we have here. Here we have Nicole Genius, who was a guest this morning on the Brian Lear show with MTA board member David Jones, and she posted basically Cuomo is saying now the bench wall has no function once cables are taken out except as a walkway. Let's see what else. All right, we have Liam Blank that posted, "No, I'm not in charge of the MTA. Yes, I convened this group to come up with this new conclusion, which they presented to the MTA. The MTA agreed that is a better way to do the L train shutdown." A quote from Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo. Let's see. It is all right. I'm receiving response from uh, and this is from Emma Fitzsimmons, the transit reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Shane Goldmacher informed that the L train shut down. But one, and we have Ben Kavik, the shady, let's say, shady Ben Kavik from Last Avenue Vargas, saying extreme bullshit. Lots of storytelling going on. What the Virus Alliance has been doing for the past years, and nobody cares about it. They heard the presentation. They were working with the MTA from day one. Where the throw hands up in the air in the extreme resignation and walk out and get lunch emoji. That's from Shady Kabak. Yeah, because he is extremely shady. Why we have New York one in Espanol announcing the cancellation. And we have that same source that reported the news to Emma, posted. Also, Freddie Ferrer, acting chair, just said he does not know how much this will cost, how long it will take. I don't promise. Cuomo says how long it will take. It's a silly promise to say I'm going to promise a construction schedule for an agency. Let's see what else we find on Twitter regarding the L train shutdown. Let's see what else we could find on Twitter. All right, do L train shutdown search on Twitter. To see what we got in within the last hour. Look at this. This person posted a screenshot from his iPhone regarding Street Easy. 2 update rentals. This screenshot was taken at 2:18. Look at this. Even Seamless reacted to this, saying, send us your best reaction selfie to the L Train News by 3 p.m. tomorrow Eastern. And we will pick 3 random winners to win a $20 e-gift card. This 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 is unbelievable. This is so unbelievable. Mm. But nothing yet from the People's MTA. Nothing yet. Let's see what else we could find here on Twitter. This is a reaction from Congresswoman Nidia Velasquez, and she responded, "My office is still getting details, but this appears to be a very positive step for New Yorkers and residents of New York's 7th Congressional District. In my part, I will continue working to secure federal resources for local transit infrastructure." And she posted this while being in the House chamber where Nancy Pelosi is sworn in for the second time leader of the House. And we have the usual Jose Martinez from New York One, and says, on the L train shutdown, years of planning, dozens of MTA and New York City DOT public hearings, what former MTA Chair Tom Prendergast called the most impactful capital construction project we have had to ever do. Oh well, never mind. And we have Jason Rabinowitz posted, at least we got a few new bike lanes around 14th Street, specifically on 13th Street. And News 12 reporter Naomi Cho Smith posted hashtag L train shutdowns officially canceled. What do you think about Governor Cuomo's plan? Good or bad idea? Let's see what else we could find. Let's see. We have David Meyer posted lots of mitigation plan for L train shutdown or worth keeping, including bike lanes, 14th Street busway, and other bus lanes, HOV3 on the Williamsburg Bridge. Make the G longer. And of course, Gotham is announcing that one source said Global could switch from 1.5 year, that 3+ years, the plan that we didn't want it, because this plan was going to make it but my question is, if the shutdown takes 3 years, it's gonna be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster. We have Jason Rabinowitz posted an hour ago. So what happens to all the L train shutdown enhancements that were planned, like new power substation Avenue B? What about the station enhancements planned at First Avenue and Bedford Avenue? Good question. Let's see what else we could find here on Twitter. Phil Leff posted Phil Leff posted, um, there's nothing to rejoice. There will be more years of inconvenience for thousands of for hundreds of thousands with fewer alternatives. The full shutdown was overwhelmingly preferred alternative during the community feedback process 3 years ago. Absolutely, even myself favored the full tunnel closure since the very beginning. So let's see if we have more. Who cares? Look at this. This is a big goddamn show off. This person here, Paul Hagen, says, thank you, thank you, thank you. New York Cuomo, I'm getting married in 16 days to my partner who lives in Brooklyn for 8 years and halting the outright shutdown is the best wedding gift get you can give us. Hashtag love wins. That's why I don't sponsor full disclosure. I'm part of the LGBT community, but I don't sponsor show-offs like this. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. So I replied to that person saying, who cares? We have Kevin Rincon from WCBS News Radio 880 says he should have said New York City Transit president. He said New York City Transit President Andy Byford said because the changes to the L train shutdown plans, they will need to review alternatives that have been discussed, like the HOV lanes and the extra buses between Brooklyn and Manhattan. And look at this, the tunnel open in operation while it's repaired on nights and weekends, he said. This is the shortest, best route to rebuilding the tunnel. Cuomo added, the governor said he consulted with Elon Musk from Tesla as well as other outside of the box experts in his efforts to come up with a plan to avert the shutdown. So he didn't consult with the usuals that the usual folks that are doing procurements. So let's see what notifications I have from my Twitter page. And of course, it's 2:40 in the afternoon. We have already Nancy Pelosi in as the leader of the House. Let's see what else we could find on Twitter. All right, we're going to see if we find something else. This is 10 minutes ago from Inspector Marker from Pix 11. 10 minutes ago, L train shut down, L train closure plan change. MTA New York City Transit officials speak after briefing at Governor Cuomo's office in Midtown Manhattan about new overnight and weekend closures. 1-2 by the time beginning probably as planned in April. New tech will be used to make Sandy related repairs. And also, he posted 3 minutes ago, one track usually means a headway of 15 to 20 minutes between Manhattan and Brooklyn. Let's see. Let's see what else we have. Oh, we have a statement from Council Member Keith Powers. Who represents the East Village. And we're going to read the whole statement. had to respond to that person. So let's continue with my apologies. We was going to read the statement from Councilman Keith Powers, and now I have to find that that um that press release that he released. Let's see if we can find it. All right, let's look for it on Twitter. All right, here's the statement from Councilmember Keith Powers regarding the L train shutdown, and we're gonna read the whole press release. We have any plan that reduces the inconvenience for commuters and improve the quality of life for my constituents is a welcome upgrade. However, the previous plan came after a careful planning and extensive community outreach. In addition to months of disruptions to my constituents, the new recommendations are a shift to a sudden change to the L train shutdown, which now needs to be fully evaluated. Today today's announcement comes after individuals made life-altering decisions about where to live. Residents have been impacted by confusing parking changes, and New Yorkers had to pay taxpayers' dollars on a design that has become obsolete. As part of the new plan, the city should continue its commitment of providing alternative transportation measures, including the M14 Select bus service and Williamsburg-Stuyvesant Cove ferry service. The MTA should also commit an expansion of subway lines to much-needed service to be impacted residents. As an everyday L train rider, I'm hopeful that this improvement in the lives of New Yorkers and looking forward to receiving more information in the upcoming days. So that's a statement from Councilman Keith Powell regarding the L train shutdown. So we're gonna conclude this live stream right now because I have errands to do. So we want remember we're gonna do a follow-up live stream this afternoon with more details regarding the L train shutdown. So thank you for joining me, folks, and we'll see you guys later on this afternoon.